to Olga Knipper, 20th of April, 1904. Other people assumed it must be a strain, looking back over 90 years. Tunnel vision, they guessed. Straw vision. It wasn't like that. Sometimes the past was shot with a handheld camera. Sometimes it reared monumentally inside a proscenium arch with moulded plaster swags and floppy curtains. Sometimes it eased along, a love story from the silent era, pleasing, out of focus, and wholly implausible. And sometimes there was only a succession of stills to be borrowed from the memory. The incident with Uncle Leslie, the very first incident of her life, came in a series of magic lantern slides, a sepia morality. The lovable villain even had a moustache. She had been 7 at the time. It was Christmas. Uncle Leslie was her favourite uncle. Slide 1 showed him bending down from his enormous height to hand over a present. "Hyacinths," he whispered, giving her a biscuit-coloured pot surmounted by a mitre of brown paper. "Put them in the airing cupboard and wait until the spring." She wanted to see them now. Oh, they wouldn't be up yet. How could he be sure? Later, in secret, Leslie unscrewed a corner of the brown paper wrapping and let her peer in. Surprise, they were up already. 4 slim ochre points, about half an inch long. Uncle Leslie emitted the reluctant chuckle of an adult suddenly impressed by a child's greater knowledge. Still, he explained, this was all the more reason why she shouldn't look at them again until the spring. Any more light could cause them to outgrow their strength. She put the hyacinths in the airing cupboard and waited for progress. She thought about them frequently and wondered what a hyacinth looked like. Time for slide 2. In late January, she went to the bathroom with a torch, turned off the light, took down the pot and unscrewed a tiny viewing hole, aimed the torch and quickly looked inside. The 4 promising tips were still there, still half an inch long. At least the light she had let in at Christmas hadn't harmed them. In late February she looked again, but obviously the growing season hadn't started yet. 3 weeks later, Uncle Leslie called by on his way to play golf. Over lunch, he turned to her conspiratorially and asked, "Well, little Jeanie, are the hyacinths Hyacinth Christmas?" "You told me not to look." So I did. She looked again at the end of March. Then, slides 5 to 10, on April the 2nd, 5th, 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th. On the 12th, her mother agreed to a closer examination of the pot. They laid yesterday's Daily Express on the kitchen table and carefully unwrapped the brown paper. The 4 ochre sprouts had not advanced at all. Mrs. Serjeant looked uneasy. "I think we'd better throw them out, Jean." Adults were always throwing things out. That was clearly one of the big differences. Children liked keeping things. "Maybe the roots are growing." Jean started easing away at the peaty earth packed tight against the tips. "I shouldn't do that," said Mother, but it was too late. One after the other, Jean dug out 4 upturned wooden golf tees. Strangely, the incident didn't make her lose faith in Uncle Leslie. Instead, she lost faith in hyacinths. Looking back, Jean assumed that she must have had friends as a child, but she couldn't recall that special confidant with the wonky grin, or the playground games with skipping rope and acorns, or the secret messages passed along ink-stained desks at a village school with a daunting stone inscription above its door. Perhaps she had had all these things, perhaps not. In retrospect, Uncle Leslie had been friend enough. He had crinkly hair, which he kept well brill-creamed, and a dark blue blazer with a regimental badge on the breast pocket. He knew how to make wine glasses out of sweet papers, and whenever he went to the golf club, he always called it "popping down the old green heaven." Uncle Leslie was the sort of man she would marry. Shortly after the hyacinth incident, he began taking her down the old green heaven. When they arrived, he would sit her on a mildewed bench near the car park and instruct her with mock severity to guard his clubs. "Just going to wash behind the old earpieces." 20 minutes later, they would set off towards the first tee, Uncle Leslie carrying his clubs and smelling of beer, Jean with the sand iron over her shoulder. This was a good luck ploy devised by Leslie. As long as Jeanie was carrying the sand iron in readiness, the lightning would be diverted, and he would be kept out of the bunker. "Don't let the club head drop," he would say, "or there'll be more sand flying than on a windy day in the go."